Alright, welcome to episode 45 of History Rewritten, and this timeline's version of World War II. So I'm very excited to start with this episode. In the last episode we had the red team uniting with the orange team, which is something that's very cool, and I quite like this blue colour we've got. Their capital, I don't know if I did their capital. I don't know I did, no. It's a lot of random capitals as well, so let's just start with sorting this out, I suppose. What an eventful beginning. I sort out some capital cities. Yeah, we can do that later. Oh well. That's not. Yeah, so here's our world map. As you can see, it's very, very cool. I like this world map. But yeah, so besides having getting prepared for this war, of course, as if we look at the world's alliances, I don't want to go through all the countries in our version of the Axis. I mean, like, the major ones, it's like the green team, the lime team, China, South China is very powerful. Japan. These two guys are in it. It's Finland, Sludge Team, Yellow Nation, Italy, and Libya. Remember that. These two guys are in the alliance. You know, there's a few other countries dotted around, like this Anatolian one. But, you know, other alliances, we have the Western European Alliance, which is Ireland, Britain, France, Germany, not the Dutch, no. Ireland, Britain, France, Norway, Sweden. The new North African Alliance, which is the blue team, Italy, which is now Corsica, Catalonia, Grenada, and Iberia. And also we have the Aegean Alliance, which is still just Greece and Crete. They are very much weaker now. And one of our newest emerging alliances, the South Asian Syndicate, which is made up of the brown team, the leader, Myanmar, and our new Arabian Union. Sounds interesting, I suppose. But, yeah. As you might remember last time, funding of the Arabian Union and the red team bit and their conquest of other Mesopotamian countries was funded by multiple countries, including their members of their alliance, the blue team, and Britain. Now, this cooperativeness of Britain wasn't just with that funding. These two guys have developed a plan. The alliances will be working together to attack the Axis. So we're going to get right into it. It's about 1942 at this point, so 3 years after when our World War II started, like halfway through already. But you know, it's been a longer time. Our World War I started in 1913 and ended in 1918, so that was slightly longer. But we've had a longer gap in between. I don't know if there's anything else I really needed to add to that. The economic crash that happened before, it's gone. That's been a while ago that happened, and the effects of that have disappeared. So yeah, it's just kind of even playing field, but not entirely. Anyway, we're going to start with our invasion, as naval ships around the North Sea have begun to blockade this area, which the Dutch are kind of like, did. But, you know, they're still going to let the Dutch through the English Channel, as Norwegian and British ships are filling up this area. You know, it's kind of worrying the Sludge Team because their trade, although it's mostly with like these nations around them, they do like the trade going out and around the rest of the world, and starting up some stuff, as this alliance begins to focus their attention on this North Sea blockade. Yeah, that's when the Arabian Union will launch their attack on this random Anatolian country. So they, oh yeah, I forgot about this stuff. They will spear right towards this southern major city, and they take it very quickly. This country is a lot less powerful than the Arabian Union, who is strong but not quite up there. Of course, Britain is still the most powerful country in the world because they haven't lost anything since last time, and you know, these other countries haven't really taken as many colonies as the British have. The Indians, the Chinese, the Green Team, the Sludge Team, they're all very powerful. Russia's not here to be really powerful anymore. So it's still Britain, Iberia, Ireland, but after that it's going to be India. Not China, then India, then the Green Team, then Sludge, then not the Terracotta Nation anymore. Yeah, that's probably all you need. You can kind of guess the rest of it. But a pretty good invasion will start. However, Yellow Team troops posted in Anatolia will go towards the capital city and help to defend this. And the entire alliance is called in. This is not good. Right, the Arabian forces will advance the front line slightly. However, they're fairly unsuccessful at taking any more land. And the front just kind of settles in there. Over here in the east, the Indians do manage to make a slight invasion, getting past all the many defences that were set up along here. Also, I'm going to colour these guys' attacks in pink, just because it was last time, and otherwise I'm going to confuse myself. So this is the Arabian Union and their alliances stuff, and this is India and their alliances attacking areas. Down here in Arabia, though, it was not as defended. They kind of forgot about this bit a little bit. They didn't worry about it as much, and quite a few cities in this area taken. Well, 2. It's an important area historically, and now. So it looks like that at the moment. The Indians are also going to move into Bengal, which is their arch nemesis, kind of. They don't like these guys much. Well, fortunately for the Bengali country, there's not many cities on their border with India because they haven't done much trade with them. The coastal areas are quite defended, and although the Indian Navy will be able to push through it sometime in the future, not at this point in time. The blue team is also kind of helping to defend along here. The British have sent their ships in, and it's at this point that Indian and British ships will meet each other in the Bay of Bengal down here, and they begin to fight. The British ships shoot on the Indian ones, and they go, "Whoa, dead! What's that about?" And yeah, they sink all the Indian ships because they were not prepared for all this, and this alliance has now joined World War II. So the Norwegian, Swedish, and British ships who are in the North Sea will make a landing in Denmark. This is a puppet state of the Sludge Team, and also it was kind of prepared. They're kind of like, oh, you might need to get prepared for this war, but they didn't really expect it. So these troops will have a relatively easy time bombarding the coast. Turns out the Sludge Team is also kind of making it slightly easier to make a landing down here. The capital is being defended with Sludge Team troops, however, so they can't take this island yet, but they might be able to later. However, they do take the remainder of this country, so it's not going to be that long until Denmark will probably capitulate. Over to these guys. Germany, it's going to be very hard to assault. You've got the entire Copenhagen area to deal with, and there's also a very small border towards this. It's like, dude, terracotta nation, we're friends and all. Could you please just let our troops go through your country? Like a Belgium, just go through this country to invade Germany. But they say no, because of course they do. Don't want to get involved in this war. They've lost a lot. People aren't happy. People don't want another war. It's fair. It makes sense. Attacks on Cyprus at the beginning, as the Cypriot island is. The British are right here. The Arabians are right over there. And a southern bit is taken, Akrotiri and Dikelia. So the British have made a landing in Cyprus, but that's about as far as that gets. The Indian-British fighting over here doesn't get anywhere, and India still hasn't made a landing in Myanmar. So there's that. But it's not just the Indians who are going to be fighting, because the Chinese get their forces down to Sichuan. Is that Sichuan? Sichuan? And they're going to start their invasion of these two countries. The areas they've chosen to invade, or have to invade, are very underpopulated. There's barely anyone here. There is like one city in each of these areas, but it's just really random placed. So they're not going to make too much headway into this area, and also it's really overgrown and jungly and whatever. They do manage to corner off an area down here in Myanmar, and they're getting close to taking this Bengali city, which eventually they manage to do. So, it's kind of looking like they might be able to assault these countries to a degree. South China will begin their invasion into Myanmar, and this does help a lot. The population in South China is pretty huge. For the past 30 years, they've been oppressing all the Vietnamese people in their country because they don't like them. So, yeah, lucky Vietnamese people. So Vietnamese riots and rebellions aren't as common as they used to be, because they've all been obliterated. If you're dealing with riots, just destroy the people who are rioting. That's the Chinese perspective at this point. So, that's happy. The defense in the south is pretty good, and they've stopped the Strait of Malacca, so trade between China and India, it's going to be very tricky, seeing as the Norwegians are over here. We've got, I mean, you can go, I suppose, all of this way, and then stick to the coast of India, and go round. Yeah, it'd be really tricky to do that, so they aren't really, there's no fighting between Indian Australia and Norwegian Java, that's fine, but we do have some other fighting in Africa. I feel like I'm going very randomly with where this goes, as the British and the African Union will team up again in Eritrea to try and take some areas around there. They take the entire Eritrean area of this country, along with a bit of Djibouti, as you know, the Arabian Union is right over here in Yemen. The British also have quite a nice time invading this country. There's not a whole lot of cities in this area because it's relatively Saharan. So, yeah, they take that, and they're having a great time just taking land. We have the Japanese versus the French down here in Tanzania and the Congo, Uganda, and that sort of area. And once again, the French are just going to win this bit. Maybe not against the Indians. Yeah, the Indians are going to get some land. Down here in the south, they take a few cities, but these are all French cities because no one was living here before the French got there. So they're quite well defended. But up in the north, the Japanese have to fend off the French, in which they are pretty unsuccessful. And in the end, the French and the British managed to corner off this area of Yellow Team Eritrea, Ethiopia stuff. So yeah, this is what it's kind of looking like. Well done me for remembering the colours. I'm really good at that. Which other fronts am I missing? There's bound to be some random fronts and I'm just gonna go, no one was fighting there! That's crazy. No one was making any headway in that area. Wow, strange. They occupy the entire oceans. I mean, Britain could probably do that, to be fair, in this scenario. Oh yeah, there's another front line that I missed. The Indians versus the Irish in Namibia. Great. I don't think I've ever said that sentence. Well, the Indians do struggle a bit because there's some guerrilla warfare in the desert, but also the Irish don't live in a desert. They live in a swamp. Well, it's probably less boggy now because they've got not dams, ditches, because the Terracotta Nation came and put them in. Just like they did in Britain in our actual timeline. See, Ireland's kind of fending it off, but it's mostly the desert that's fending them off because this is really their colony. This bit's just like all the tycoons get resources and diamonds and gold from this bit, but you know, oh well. Oh well. Is there any other stuff that I'm missing? I know I'm missing some oh yeah. I found a front that I was missing. The one in Libya. So the British are definitely winning this front. British Egypt is one of their favourite colonies because they love the Suez Canal. The capital of this colony has just been taken. However, there's a load of Italian forces helping out in this area, and although they can't manage to invade British Egypt, they are defending their Libyan colony, so that's nice of them. They're also kind of defending this a bit more because the French have just started their push into the Italian state. It's not a huge push, and they haven't captured anything important, but you know, it's occurred. And I need to get better at this. So that's the front lines. At this point, I feel like this might take a rather long while. We have 8 countries versus quite a lot of other countries, so I might need to speed this up. The Norwegians and the Swedes will begin to fight against the Finns, so they take a pretty huge amount of land in northern Finland. The Finns weren't defending this too hard because it's not their crucial territory. It's more just like, we recently took this from the Norwegians, cool for us. The Swedes will manage to recapture some of their islands. They don't get all of them back, and they don't get this one back either. The rest of Denmark is taken, and they finally make a landing in Copenhagen and take that also. So this has all been taken. Very well done to those guys. Out here in Italy, the French managed to advance slightly further into the Italian state. Not really that far though. And the Libyan front line is not going to move at all. Down here in Anatolia though, the yellow team has started their push into this country, and it's not really looking good. For a lot of the troops posted in this area, as they're all forced out of the Anatolian state. Turns out this isn't a very stable country, the Arabian Union. Yeah, they just united recently, and the forces that were posted in Cyprus are going to get forced out of there, because the yellow team is very powerful at this point. They have a massive empire, and now they've started their invasion into the actual parts of the Arabian Union. So this goes very well, and they're near the capital, which is Baghdad, effectively. The green team will also work together with them as they make their way towards the Kuwait area. However, a proper front line is kind of set up down here, so that they have to keep defending though. The Indians will continue their advance into the Omani areas of this country, as they near the capital of the old Orange team, which doesn't exist anymore, but oh well. Down here in Eritrea, Ethiopia though, it's a lot better. The British are making good headway into this bit, but it's mostly being carried by the British rather than the Arabian Union, because they're falling apart. The British also take these islands that were owned by the Arabians, or the yellow team I mean. And now the yellow team's front line kind of just looks a bit... The yellow team's reigning land is just basically Somalia, but greater Somalia. The Indian advance into France is going pretty well. They've nearly got to the gates of this major city. However, the French are focusing on Lake Victoria. Yeah, there we go, Lake Victoria. And they've taken that entire area. The Japanese are not liked over here. Not at all. So unfortunately, the people don't really want to comply, and conscripting troops to go and help fight in this colony. People are like, oh, I want to defend my home from the colonial powers. But also, I don't like the Japanese, so it is what it is. Irish businesses are having a huge outcry at this point because the Indians have taken a lot of their stuff. The Indians are trying to just kind of destroy Ireland's economy, which isn't very nice. That's not very nice. You can't do that. That's not nice. Everything's nice in war. Yeah. Don't do mean things to people just because you're at war with them. And unfortunately, that's not how war works. The advancement into Bengal is really ramping it up as they make it to the northern area of this country. It's also getting pretty bad in Myanmar, a country who's barely seen any military conflict. One blue country who was over here, and the Chinese and the Indians have met up in Bengal, so that's really not good for these guys. Myanmar's coast is being defended by British, French, and Irish troops who are in this area. Speaking of troops who are in this area, though, the French have actually managed to finally invade the Vietnamese areas of South China. Not entirely, but like over there they have, down here. Whilst in these western areas they have made an invasion into this bit. Well, they've only taken this area, this sort of northern bit, so it's not hugely far. I just don't want to get confused with the borders when I do the peace treaty after this, because otherwise that's going to be really annoying if I just mess it all up. They haven't managed to get to the coast. I don't know what bay, sea this is. I could probably work it out, but I don't want to. So, I'm not going to. I need help. Anyway, yeah, I do. I need serious aid. Donations. Give me some money. The British managed to break through the Libyan lines, and they've taken lots of this northern coastal area, and now the Italians are really pushed back. This war's probably been going on for about a year, so it's 1943. Let's say that it started in which month? Which month's an easy month to do? February. January. That's easier than February. It's probably like the April of 1943 at this point. So that's spring, I think. I'm not good at seasons. I don't know why. I'm just not good at this. Which of the front lines am I missing? Over here in Norway, unfortunately, a landing has been made in some of these Norwegian islands, and this island has been taken as the Indians from Australia are working their way into the interior of this country. Oh man, I am just bad. I can't do colours apparently. So yeah, Norwegian Java is kind of help, not helping. The Irish have finally broken through the Chinese lines as they are going to start their invasion. It's not a huge invasion because it's Australia. It's an Australian desert. This thing's not going to be a huge invasion, if you couldn't tell. Elsewhere, oh yeah, wait a minute. Hold on one sec. Elsewhere, however, a lot of these islands are getting taken by China, so unfortunately, Fiji has been captured by the Chinese, along with the remainder of South Vanuatu. So that's been taken. And New Caledonia is just kind of holding out against the Chinese Oceanic Navy. I don't think there was anything else. There's the Japanese. Not invaded the Japanese territories yet. Crikey, this war's going to take a long time. It's already 20 minutes. Oh my god. This video might be ages, guys. I'm sorry. That's fine. Shut up. Anyway. Pushes towards Baghdad have been relatively unrewarding recently. However, they have managed to push around the entire Persian Gulf coast, which has linked up these southern Indian territories with other slightly more northern ones, so that's good. Pushes down into Israel have been failing by the Turks and the Serbs. However, speaking of the Serbs, their entire colony has been taken by British Egypt and these guys, but these guys are more worried about other things at this point, if you can understand what I'm saying. It makes a lot of sense. Which means British troops are now making their way towards Japan, because this area it's pretty difficult. The Indians, the Chinese, and the Japanese are all working to take the French. Working to take down the French, Irish, and now the British, who arrived from Egypt. The French can't quite manage to connect with the coast because of all the Chinese troops that are posted along these, some of them relatively old cities. So they've been here for a while. It's like the first Indian colonization of East Africa, which was a very long time ago. And also the Indians are kind of just occupying this colony. I mean, this eastern side is mostly occupied by Chinese, the western side occupied by Indians, because they need to put down the revolts that are going on in this country. That's a pretty major thing. And the Irish are losing even more territories. Great. It's not very important though. It's not like it's Irish, America. That would be really bad if they lost that. More territories in Libya have been taken, but it's mostly Saharan stuff. It wasn't anything economically important, so I wouldn't worry. The Green Team is loving this front over here. That's mostly where they're focused, because it's the only real area where they can be focused. However, Green Team troops are being dispersed around the huge war that's going on. Looking back in the north of Finland, I thought we'd have more stuff going on in Europe. The Norwegians are making pretty good headway into this area, and the Swedes, I suppose. The Swedes are less powerful than the Norwegians, and they've taken the entire Kola Peninsula. Is there no Murmansk? Welcome to Murmansk. I don't know how to do the accent. It's not very good. Anyway, that was my attempt at the Russian accent. I need help. Yep. The French are making their way towards more areas in Major Italy. This bit is very important, as the Yellow Team remember from like episode 4 or something. And finally they've linked up with the border of Switzerland, as the French will start their invasion into southern Switzerland. Crazy stuff for the Swiss. Now Yellow Team troops are kind of arriving to bolster the Italians, who aren't defending very well. Italy are meant to be better than this. Come on, man. I'm gonna burn me. Invasions into Germany have just started in April, the August. Yep, I got August and autumn confused for a second there. So what? Surely you can't have the season named after the month. That wouldn't work. Yeah, it's not. It's just two different words that sound similar. Well done, man. You're really intelligent. Nope. Anyway, some more areas of southern Germany have been taken, and now Switzerland's being attacked by the Swedes and the French, which is strange, I suppose. And advancements in Arabia have just happened, as the capital of the Orange Team has been taken. There's now just a few random cities in the middle of nowhere. And I nearly gave them Baghdad. Nope, they're not meant to take Baghdad yet. They are taking more areas around Baghdad because reinforcements and defences over there, just they can't afford to keep them there. Down here in the Bay of Bengal, yet Indian forces are getting closer to taking out this entire thing, along with help from the Chinese. And they've solidified their forces along the border. This entire huge northern area has been taken. This bit's been captured. And this bit's been taken. If a flood comes, these guys are screwed. There probably will be a flood. I imagine if I was the Indians or the Chinese here, I'd probably just, like, guys, let's work out how to make a flood in Bangladesh. Because, my god, it would be very successful. The French are actually being pushed into slightly by the south. Oh, not that much. Crikey, I don't mean that much. I need help. The French are losing some areas of their colony, however their advanced areas into Southeast Asia, their advancements into this South China, aren't being taken down as the French continue along the Vietnamese coast. Some of the Vietnamese people there are still surviving. Vietnamese people surviving in South China? Yeah, that's crazy, I know. It's really unrealistic, so... I need to up the realism. There wouldn't be anyone surviving after what's happened to them. You know, the entire, like, fascist regime that came in? I don't know how YouTube feels about that word. They should feel fine about it. I feel like I've heard people say it before on videos, because I watch history videos, because history is cool. And I'm making my own history, I'm rewriting history, that's crazy. Anyway, so, luckily the eastern areas of Norwegian Java aren't the most important areas, it's the western ones, like Jakarta, although Jakarta's up here, and this is our equivalent, so it's slightly different. Attacks on Sumatra haven't really started yet. Sumatra's defending pretty well. And these guys are just pretty scary. Fair. New Caledonia has been taken, finally. As we approach 1944, Irish invasions into Chinese Australia are really ramping up at this point. Oh my. There we go. As the Irish take a load of the eastern coast, the Irish are carrying. The British are helping to send forces in from New Zealand, but it's mostly sheep farmers in New Zealand. You know, gotta keep the continuity. I don't really know about one day New Zealand. I like New Zealand. Like, New Zealand is my favourite oceanic country, because they're pretty cool. New Zealand is dope. I haven't said that in like a year. That's crazy. New Zealand's cool though. It's less hot than Australia. It's a bit like the UK, except hotter and with earthquakes. I'm glad the UK doesn't have earthquakes. We've watched enough things in geography about earthquakes. Christchurch does not sound like a safe place. It sounds cool, but like, not safe. Anyway, invasions into Myanmar. It's like the Thai area of Myanmar. I always think it's Thai. It's not. Well, some of it is. And they're getting pretty close to taking the Myanmarese capital. Speaking of capital cities, the capital of the Blue Country, which I haven't removed, has been taken, and Bengal, you're really not doing very well for the South Asian Syndicate here. Not setting a good example. Not at all. The French, though. Look at France go. They're taking more and more areas of Vietnam, and they're moving their way into China, as Hainan has just been taken. Apparently there's no coastal cities in Hainan, which is unrealistic. It's completely unrealistic. You've broken my sense of realism. I can't watch this anymore. Yeah, that's basically how it is. Front lines in Africa are kind of seizing up, as they can't break this wall, but then also these guys can't break this wall until they actually do in the February of 1943. So they managed to make it to the coast. It doesn't really benefit them that much. The Bretons are just surrounded by Allied forces now, so hooray for Brittany. I don't know. Yippee. They're safer, probably. And the French have managed to take more areas by their actually captured areas of the Congo jungle, but it's very, very slow getting through the Congo because it's a jungle. It's a massive jungle filled with diseases and stuff, so there's just a load of Indian people dying. This is not a fun part. Maybe like so many books about this as well. That'd be interesting. Imagine all the literature that should be created from this war. Anyway, it's kind of relevant. More areas of Germany being attacked. Has finally people managed to make their way into Switzerland, and Switzerland is about to capitulate. The French and the Swedes have managed to link up in Switzerland, and they take down the entire country. Basically, I mean, this bit's being held onto. Yeah, I can't be bothered to say it's being held onto. No. They just take it. I was going to say, oh, the yellow team are filling it with troops. Nah. Bam, they take it. Who cares? It's a load of mountains. This is Austria, isn't it? I feel like everything over here is Austria. When I look at maps of this, I'm just like, this is Austria. I mean, it's near enough. It's near enough. It's like Hungary. And Slovakia's up here. Czechia's over here. I don't know. You should know this. Anyway, more advancements into Germany happen because this country is very new. And finally they actually managed to link up with the border of our good friend, the Sludge Nation. This island has been taken, and finally Germany will fall over to the Allied forces. So that's that for Germany. They take our Berlin equivalent. This is kind of where Berlin is. It's actually more Polish. Berlin's like over here. Oh well. They take Warsaw. Great. However, advancements into the Sludge team, who's mostly just been going troops. Who wants some troops? I know, you want some troops. Yeah, that's been their entire plan. Finland is starting to fall apart, as this huge swathe of relatively uninhabited territory will fall away. All of this. And all of this. The branching troops aren't really doing that much, and they don't manage to push through the front line here. Speaking of pushing through front lines, though, it's just got really bad in Arabia, because Baghdad, the capital of the Red Team, has just been taken, along with like a load of other stuff. So, yeah, there you go. But it's not all bad for these guys. Just because your country is now literally Jeddah, doesn't mean that you can't keep fighting. Because Baghdad going down was kind of something that these guys predicted. Something else they predicted was Myanmar falling. And possibly also Bangladesh, sometime very soon. Surely it was good. No. Because some new allies have just been called into this war. And these allies, you know, they're pretty good friends with Europe. But kind of the reason that they joined this war is because of their friendships. The Arabian Union. Because the Blue Team's new alliance, the one between them, Corsica, and Iberia, effectively, it's just been activated. All five of those countries will join this war and help out in mainly the Mediterranean Sea. So, starting off with Libya, yeah, that's destroyed. Sorry, Libya. Looking over here at Italy, it's about to get really bad for Italy. As, I mean, Swedish troops aren't really going to go through Italy, because through the Alps, like, what's the point? It's the Alps. However, new French and Iberian troops, and by Iberian I just mean all of these guys. I know this is the Iberian country. I might call them Portuguese just to this point, just because it's easier. Although their capital is kind of in Galicia, just like Galicia. Oh well, who cares? Northern Italy just been captured, and that's not good. I'm pretty sure they moved their capital to this city, because I think it was originally up here somewhere. Maybe it wasn't, but their capital's now there. And the blue team will start their invasion into southern Italy, which goes very well. The Italians were not prepared for this. No, not St. Petersburg. Peterborough has just been captured, and finally the Italian country will collapse and capitulate over to this new group that's appeared. Over here in the Atlantic, all these islands are taken. Just imagine that they are. I'm not going to cut them all in. I nearly did actually, because I can't be bothered. Now Iberian forces are moving through Norwegian Nigeria and Guinea, Bay of Guinea. This is the Bay of Guinea. Gulf of Guinea. I think actually I said it wrongly. And they're helping to help out the French front lines down here in Africa, so Congolese areas will be retaken over here. And that's pretty good for the French. I can't be bothered to get rid of all these lines. I mean, I want to, but can I really be bothered to? No. The Indians managed to retake this bit though, so it's not all great for them. Japanese Tanzania is completely collapsing at this point. It's really not going well, as the Indian forces are forced to retreat to help hold their front line in the French Congo, rather than the front line in Japanese Tanzania, because they don't really like the Japanese. The Japanese are a pain. They're not that good at fighting. However, the Chinese will keep holding on, because they don't have that many other front lines to deal with. So the Tanzanian colony looks a bit like the old Tanzanian colony, which is interesting. The red team is still completely falling apart at this point, but not to the same degree, just still not doing great. The British have to focus a lot of their troops all around the world, everywhere, and there's other people being pulled from America, like you should join a fight in America, but you're not fighting in America, you're fighting in Africa and the Middle East, which is probably less fun than fighting in America, I'd say. Anyway, Bengal has just been captured. The blue team forces that were here weren't able to help, so that wasn't very good, was it? No. However, over here in China, they've just given the Chinese a new front to deal with, because the South Philippine Islands have just joined this war. They're getting towards major Chinese areas. And in the end, the entirety of the Philippines are taken over by Catalonia. All of this is taken. The Japanese islands, I don't care about them very much. And it's beginning to not look good for these guys. Chinese Australia is now pretty under threat, as the Australians and the Iberians will team up to take a huge swathe of this territory. Load of it. This is still being occupied. No, actually, no. The Iberians are managing to take some of the Solomon Islands, but the defences here are pretty good. It's just, you know what colour it's meant to be. You know what's meant to be happening. I don't, apparently. So that's good. I'm just not successful at colouring the islands, I suppose. It's quite sad. Where else do I need to go? I need to go somewhere in the world. It's not looking good for a lot of countries around the world, as a lot of their countries being taken. However, speaking of countries being taken, the entirety of the Arabian Union and the South Asian Syndicate has just been captured, which is a huge, huge bad thing for this alliance, because pushing into India is going to be a lot harder at this point. Like an awful lot harder. What else do we have to do? Well, this front line, all these new countries are going to help out pushing into the yellow country, and also our good friend, this sludge nation. Because 2 more countries are going to decide to join this war, being Crete and Greece. So these guys lost a lot of their empire, however, they'd like to try and help. Just a little bit. So the sludge team will get invaded slightly, however pushing into Kaliningrad is going to be very difficult because not that easy, mate. I'm afraid it's not going to be that easy, it's just you take it. Because Kaliningrad is one of the main areas of this country. As for the Cretans, yeah, unfortunately the island of Crete isn't too powerful. It's a bit like a high capital nation, really. Just like, man, people live quite well there. The island is quite nice to live on. However, it's not easy. It's not all easy. The Thessaloniki area is under threat, but it's not going amazingly, as the yellow team will manage to rebuke these forces, and they push them back significantly, and start their invasion into Greece again, for the second time. So there's that. Yellow team areas are still being captured there. However, the sludge team will join in with this pushback, as they manage to force people back from their entire area, which is not great for a load of people. There's that. Finland's still not doing amazingly. However, they do manage to force back one of the new recent advancements into their country. Tanzania has been taken, finally, which took a very, very long time. And advancements into the Irish Namibian territory are still ongoing, along with advancements into this territory. The Catalan Angola has just started its new invasion, or started being invaded. It's nice for them. So the Indians are making some headway in this area there, which is good, but they're not doing that much. The Indians have recently been forced out of Norway by Borneo, Britain, Iberia, all those people who just appeared in this war. So that's nice for the Norwegians. As for India and Australia, they still haven't managed to invade that. South China is suffering a little bit, as the French have managed to press up to this front line, but they can't actually get past the border into Myanmar. But they have successfully retaken the occupied areas of their colony, so that's nice for them. French Indochina is looking more Indo-Chinese. That's useful, I suppose. The Irish and the French will team up in South Myanmar though, and they retake this area, which is this colour. So some of Myanmar is going back, but also the capital is very far away, so that's fun. Wow, Myanmar. Crazy, you just occupied the entirety of South China, that's crazy. These islands have been taken, I don't care really. And quite suddenly, a load of Russian forces are going to make their way into the east, mainly towards Finland, and also to push forces out of the Yellow Country, so forces have been pushed from there, and the Yellow Country is cleansed of all the attacking nations. They use these forces to push into Greece, Euboea, and also some random Cretan islands. They take Greece's capital, and unfortunately Greece is just going to collapse. Not too strong. Crete's going to follow suit very quickly, and oh, there's that. Africa is looking strange. It's looking different, as unfortunately Irish Namibia will be captured. This is a real blow for the Irish, as they're losing a lot of their economy stuff, like diamonds, and it's probably about 1944, halfway through that, at least at this point. Oh, probably like 1945 at this point. Yeah, definitely been probably 3 years, I'd say. Fighting in the Baltics got a lot harder due to all the Russian troops that have made their way into this area. A new front line will appear out here in the east, as finally, after lots of deliberation, the Koreans and these colonies, along with their Baikal allies, will join this war immediately. This country is demolished. I don't even give them a second, because I don't care. And the Koreans will start their advance into China. The Chinese weren't really expecting this, so the Koreans make a slight bit of land, but it's not huge. And as for in the north, invasion of Sakhalin will occur. This takes place across many, many days. It is a huge naval battle. Like 100,000 people will die. trying to invade Sakhalin, probably more, like 200,000 or something. It's about to get very bad. But finally, these colonies do manage to invade Sakhalin, these guys being Sakhalines. So that's good. And they make their way down this chain of islands, the Ryukyu Islands. I think Korea will retake Bonin Island. The Japanese are kind of losing stuff. Taiwan has been taken. Areas of Myanmar will be freed, which is very cool. And more areas of China, South China, I mean, will be taken. Their capital's right over here, so I have a long way to go to get that. You know, they're working on it. They're working on it. Give them some time, they're working on it. As for the USA, United States of Arabia, kind of, while the Arabs are managing to push back a little bit, they retake this highly important religious city in the middle of nowhere, this desert. Hey, it's not nice. This deserty one, they retake that. I think I did it with the wrong colour. They also take these areas of Israel back, because this country is not doing very well at occupying things. Finland is managing to push back a little bit, but up in the north, Svalbard has just been taken. Like a while ago, probably. So, that's cool. The yellow team is trying to push back into Germany and Switzerland, along with the sludge team, but they're failing in that endeavour, because of course they are. As for Angola, has been taken. Unfortunately, an entire piece of territory has been captured. Down here in Australia, though, Chinese Australia is gone, so the Chinese have lost all of their colonies around the world, except for Madagascar, because Madagascar is pretty hard to invade. I don't think they'll take the Comoros. I was thinking about it, but no. They don't manage to take the Comoros, back to this area. Yeah. As we get halfway through 1945, something very unexpected will start to happen. As the Baikal Nation leads their invasion into this green country, and they actually managed to take quite a lot of land. The green team did not send their forces all the way over here, and Sakhalin is also going to help taking out a lot of this Siberian random land. So that's good for them. Korean forces are invading China. China is not doing as well as people kind of expected. They were meant to be doing better than this. Korean forces are also posted in Japan. Korea has been selling and buying loads of military equipment, so they're pretty rich at this point. Sakhalin has just been captured. The Japanese have lost pretty much all their colonies. Speaking of the last Japanese colony, Hawaii, the Koreans and the French have finally retaken this. I feel like that happened a few episodes ago. I don't know, maybe when you finish this, go and find that episode. And if you can't find it, just watch all of them. Yeah, that's what I'd do if I was you. This advertising is crazy. The French continue to invade in South China though, so that's good for the French. Actually carrying it over here in the east. Well, like Sumatra and Ireland, like Malay Island are also helping. Areas of Bengal have just been liberated. The people have managed to rebel against their oppressors, that being the Lime team, and they're making pretty good independent stuff. I don't know what I was trying to get at there. More of Myanmar has been freed, and the French are getting up close on the border of China, just like they are in whatever it is, Africa, or it's Chinese, whatever it's called. I'm not doing well on names today. I'm getting confused with these names. There's so many countries I need to remember. In Madagascar, crikey, that's black, isn't it? Yeah. Bengal's managed to free a lot of this territory, and they go down towards the border of Myanmar, and finally a load of Myanmar has been retaken. It's suddenly not looking good, so good, for this alliance. India's kind of suffering at this point. More areas of southern Arabia are taken, but the north is fully occupied by Green Team troops, so they currently take the rest of that. Over here in Europe, not much is happening. Area of Finland just got taken, so they are going to need a lot of more backup troops from Russia to go and help fix that problem, because, yeah. Although Russia is not doing too well over here in the east, look at Eastern Russia. What is going on? Guys, it's not that hard. It's just one colonial power and one country who's basically the strongest in Central Asia. Like the steppes, I suppose. That's 50 minutes. Crikey. I need to stop saying crikey. Maybe I just need some help. You know what? I just need some help. The French Congo is now being invaded by the Indians as they make their way through the southern areas and through the vast jungle that I'm just going to completely neglect and say it doesn't exist. Haha, jungle. Get down. I'll probably get burned, actually. Just a lot of this forest, this ancient forest, is being burnt to pieces. That's very nice of the Indians. There we go. Just went really peaceful there for a second. Forget about the war. Forget about all these conflicts that are going on. Just be peaceful for a second. Anyway, Japan has just capitulated over to Korea and Sakhalin. This is mostly Baikal carrying this bit, because Sakhalin has to deal with Japan, a country who is kind of on their level, but at least kind of was. The Chinese had to deal with a lot, as unfortunately Chinese Madagascar is going to go undefended. And down here in Africa, it's about to turn a lot more to the French and European way of how they like things to go. I'm getting confused on words today. I'm sorry. It's just I've been speaking for 50 minutes straight. Just think about that whilst you're watching this video. Crikey. Yep, so the French had liberated all of this. The Congolese stuff finally only took, I don't know, 4 years or so. We're in 1946 at this point. But invasions into Indian Mozambique, Malawi, Zambia are beginning, and also into Chinese Madagascar. I'm sorry, I just need to. If there's a pause button here, that'd be so amazing. If I was recording, there was actually just like pause. Give me a second to go and do something. Also, I drank so much water before this. Like, I actually was prepared. I got all my country's colours prepared as well. I was on point for this recording. I can't wait to do the peace treaty. It's going to be very interesting. Madagascar, though. Anyway, Madagascar's been taken, and pretty soon this will be taken. Irish areas in Namibia are freed, and it's worrying people because Axis has just been pushed out of Africa. So they're going to need some more troops to help their front lines, and where are going to get those troops from? The millions and millions of people in Russia. So lots of troops are sent from the Baikal front line in Siberia. You know, they're having enough trouble with the cold. That's probably more of a trouble than the actual huge military presence in that area. And they're going to send them through the ground team into the border with Finland, except no. Nuh-uh. Because as they take them to the capital of the brown team over here, all of those troops are slaughtered. Maybe not all of them. They're captured. The green team ones are slaughtered. And anyone who won't give up their weapons is killed. Because a revolution just occurred in the brown team after rebelling away from the green puppet masters and going out. I'm going to help out this team in this war. Haha. So yeah, they're kind of doing that. And the brown team has just joined the side of what's it called? The Arabian Union, Britain, Western Europe, Africa. They joined that side, along with some of their old pals, Crimea, the grey team, dark blue grey team, and dark blue Crimea, even darker blue Crimea. This is very confusing for a lot of people. Finland does not receive the troops they need, so Finland goes bye-bye. Poor Finland. And as for Siberia, well, Siberia just had a load of troops extracted from it, and then no troops go back. So Siberia is not having a great day either. And also the remnants of this will kind of try and work together with the brown team, although they were much more under the control of the green team than their brown team counterparts. original guys. Invasions into the yellow team restart now, as more troops appear on their front lines, especially over here in the east of the country, because the blue team's here, and they're ready to do some invasion stuff. Not that much invasion stuff. Crikey, blue team. They're not that powerful really anymore, because they lost a lot of their land, but, you know, they've got some friends to help them out. Areas of Crete are finally freed. They're given, they're retaken. Greece is liberated, as well as their capital and some of these southern territories, as areas relatively close to where they are taken. It's not very good in the sludge team either, as a huge wall of troops they were expecting and then they gave a load of weapons to just arrived in the eastern area of their country, however not to fight on their side. A lot of these troops were willing to fight for the new rebel force because they didn't like this side. Also, a lot of them were conscripts, so they kind of got sent home, but, you know, some of them wanted to fight against this force. So a huge front line will appear over here, and unfortunately for the Sludge Nation, they are completely surrounded by enemies. Let's say completely surrounded by people who don't like them. The yellow team's also not having a great day either, as these forces are beginning to push into their country. Unfortunately, even neutral Istria won't help out in this war, but another country will manage to help out, and that is the Terracotta Nation. They've decided to come in and join this war, so get all these guys. Kind of a bit late, mate, but there's one crucial thing they can do, so that's nice of them. The green team has taken over the Middle East in front at this point in their occupation of these territories. Well done. But yeah, the thing that the Terracotta Nation can do, nobody else really was managing to do, is invade Australia. They love Australia. This is the favourite colony of the Terracotta Nation, and they sent a load of their forces down there. They've been strengthening these forces now about halfway through 1946 in this war, and with the Korean aid, as well like the aid of everyone else on this continent, except for Brittany, because Brittany is highly neutral and they're not doing anything. They'll manage to take that down, and China and India are off of this continent. It's about to get very bad for certain countries as well, because areas of Bengal and Myanmar have just been freed, and unfortunately for South China, their entire country has just been taken. Great. Korean forces, lots of American Korean forces actually, will start their, or renew their push into China. They head for lots of these northern uninhabited areas, and finally Baikal will break through into Chinese territory. Sakhalinese people are helping to fight over here because Baikal is focused on Siberia, so they don't really have huge amounts of places to go. And finally, the capital of, actually that's taken. The capital of South China has already been taken, finally. But, you know, China's now being invaded. I want to make sure I don't get those territories confused. So, how do I do that? Give me a sec. It's not looking good for the Indian Empire, though. No. Indian Empire is not having a great day today, as the only colony they have left is their one in Arabia, and also all of Antarctica that they had. So yeah, got some stuff. But the Empire is also completely falling apart, so yeah. They haven't been invaded like China has, though. China is losing a load of land. The morale has gone severely down. They lost all of their colonies. They don't have Antarctica, because no one's going to invade Antarctica. So at least they could have kept that. And don't worry about these Filipino islands that I haven't coloured in. They've been captured. Over here in the east, it's hard to fight through this Indian stuff, but unfortunately for the Indians, their good old trusty Arabian holdings have just been captured. But Bengal is about to start invading with the help of a load of Europeans, because Bengal would not be able to single-handedly invade India. That makes sense. It's only a small invasion from this point, but the blue team will be able to supply them, along with the Terracotta Nation, who's got a lot of supplies that they've been holding up, carrying around and preparing for this showdown. Areas within the Arabian Union are just getting freed. Cyprus has just been recaptured, and unfortunately for the yellow team, Anatolia was the last thing they had, and after Constantinople is taken, the rest of Anatolia will rebel with like a load of Cretan and red team spies, and like riot people who, what's it called? People who start riots and movements. Annoying people. Lots of annoying people in their country. The sludge team will finally collapse over to the forces of evil. No, the forces of good. Shouts them down. Well done, Crete. Crimea. Those guys. And the green team's just gonna go, oh, why is my team rubbish? I want to go on the other team. China's not having a great time either, as these bits will connect up. Not entirely. You know, they're losing. They're still managing to hold on to a lot of their core territory, and the defensive wall has fallen in China. So, you know, they're not entirely losing, it's just to a rather large degree. They're holding strong. Over here in India, though, well, there's a lot of forces. Those African forces really were quite annoyed with the Indians, and another country has just decided to join this war. That country being southern India, another highly neutral country. They have been around for a very long time, and they've been able to observe all the horrible things that India's done to people. So they're going to start their invasion into these areas. It's very slow because this country has literally never done anything in terms of military stuff, but they're receiving loads of gear and troops and stuff like that. They did recently lose some territory to India due to, remember that weird Beiji country being created that lasted for like an entire episode and then got annexed by India. They managed to connect up their front lines in Bengal. Get this. Connect up some more front lines. India's not having a very nice day. The green team is holding out, however, despite the fact that, you know, these guys have literally just reached the green team border, and the border of the brown team has been existing for a while. The green team's actually managing to take land. They have lost a load of troops, but that's not gonna stop them. They wouldn't let a silly thing like losing loads and loads of people stop them. As they carry on with their invasion, the troops in India, nah, those are not there anymore. They took their troops away from India. They want to make sure that they do as well as they can during this war, because, you know, they don't want to have their capital taken. I don't think anyone else does either. It'd be a very bad thing if the green team had their capital taken. Very, very bad. Anyway, we'll get onto that later, I suppose. As southern areas of the lime team are being captured, China's managing to hold out because of green team support. The green team is actually sending support to a country. It's not India, though, and India feels betrayed. So, womp to the Indians. As huge areas of the country fall away, and, you know, their capital just got taken. As we arrive in 1947, yeah, you were meant to be taken ages ago, mate. The Anatolian country has been taken a long time ago. These guys kind of capitulated. The green team is forced to leave the brown team territory as troops make their way towards the capital of the green team. Now, the invasion of the green team takes a lot longer than it seems like it does here. As we go all the way through February, January, February, March, April, May, and June. June's a very, very unhappy month in the world history books. The June of 1947. Because it's the day the green team's capital came under threat. And the green team leadership thought that they would lose this war. They're afraid their beautiful empire would be taken away from them. So in a last-ditch effort to preserve the Green Team's power and majesty, they did something that had never been done before, and nobody ever knew could be done. It was use an atomic bomb. Now this bomb, it doesn't leave loads of radiation everywhere, it just obliterates the area that it drops on. So they dropped this bomb onto, well, probably one of the worst areas they could drop it on. Worst areas for the people who are having it dropped on them, I mean. Because June, it's a very hot time, as decided by the Arabians. They should have a very important religious festival at this point. So as the Green Team drop their huge freaking bomb on this territory, there's millions, well not millions, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people living in, going to this city on an ancient pilgrimage that's been happening for thousands of years. Not that many thousands, but quite a few. 700,000 people are killed in the explosion the Green Team's atomic bomb caused. And this shocks the world. In almost an instant. What? That is awesome. In almost an instant, 700,000 people are murdered by one single bomb. The invasion stops on the Green Team as the powers and the leaders of the world go, what just happened? China will speak out saying, yep, we have another bomb, we have proof, we can show you. We have a bomb just like that. The Green Team says, yep, we've got millions more. We could destroy every single city in all of these opposing countries and empires. So, with that grim conclusion, World War II will come to a close. The last countries surviving being the Green Team and China in terms of the Axis nations. Let's get down to a peace treaty. See you in a bit. Thanks. Alright, welcome back. I've just seen something that I forgot to do in the peace treaty, but I literally just finished it, and oh my god, it took so long. It took so long to do. I suppose you can also get to watch a bit of it here as well, because I realised a bit that I forgot. So, that's cool. I finished it at like nearly 5 o'clock. It's been like 2 hours, and now 7 o'clock. That's crazy. Oh yeah, there's another I forgot to do. I'm on fire. There's 3 bits of the peace treaty that I forgot to do. But yeah, the map looks incredibly different. The Green Team in China got off very well from this war because they both have nuclear bombs. Although under closer inspection, after the war, it's discovered the Green Team only had 3, and now they only have 2, because they used one to bomb a highly important religious center of the Red Team, or probably the Orange Team. But either way, it's of the Arabian Union, and the Chinese country only had 1. However, they can't really go and initiate another war with them, because the population would not be happy with them if they just said, right, they've only got 3 bombs between them. We could just be lucky, I suppose. Yeah, they don't want to do that. So, they are going to say, right, well, let's cut our losses. You know, they don't have 1 million, and they can't bomb all of our capitals, but they could kill millions more people, so let's not go and attack them. So they got off pretty okay from this war, but anyway, let's have a look at the peace treaty. Actually, let's first off just have a look at the bits I missed. This place. These are the islands that were owned by the purple Italian country. Yeah, they're now Grenada's islands. And as for these islands, you can receive your independence. The Canary Islands are now their own country. Because lots of the colonies of the northern Italian country wanted their independence after the war because they didn't want to be part of like a colonized thing. So there we go, there's that. Let's take a look at Europe. As you can see in the UK, actually gained absolutely nothing from this war. I was considering giving them something, and I might still do that later. But I don't know how we would feel, because it would have to be another colony, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think we want to add more colonies. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, if we look across at Europe, Europe looks incredibly different. As you can see, a ton more countries. So let's start in the Baltics. Sweden received this Copenhagen sort of island or collection of islands. Bornholm, all those islands, Gotland. We also got this important island, Ursel or something, from Estonia. I hope it's Ursel. I feel like it is. Oh yeah, also there's this new green country in Estonia. Their capital is on this island, so a bit like the old brown country that was here. Not quite. Finland has some disgusting borders. We have this red country returning. They used to be kind of like here-ish. However, they've now just been moved over here. They took all the people who wanted to move from this area and went, how about you go live in Finland? It's probably nicer. Okay. And they still get to keep their old capital, which is here. And that's now the new capital. The Sludge Team looks okay. Terracotta Nation got most of their stuff back. The Sludge Team's capital is still here. We have this new purple country, this new red country, green one, orange one. The yellow country is now kind of in Bulgaria. Their old capital is now the capital of this red country, which is a bit of a shame because it's been their capital for so long, but also you're over here now. Have this red country, this new blue one. Greece has lots of their old land back, and probably more. The Salmon Nation now can't really unite with the yellow one because there's this orange country in the way. So that was kind of their aim, but they kept the countries around. Switzerland lost some land. The blue Swiss country did absolutely nothing. The Italian purple country has regained the entire Italian peninsula, and northern Italy is gone. We have this new greenish country. The yellow team doesn't own these bits, but who cares? A new Thracian country, which is very cool. I like these guys a lot. Crete got back most of this, however the Arabian Union stole some of it. Crimea is kind of back to where they were before, and the grey team's got some land, so that's cool for them. They look a bit like a rabbit now. Let's just have a look at Russia. Yeah, Russia, I think they lost some land in the east, possibly. However, they go a lot further into the west, and they actually have a coast on the Baltic now, so that's good for them, because they have a slightly warm water port in the Gulf of Finland, so that's good. As for the rest of Europe, is there anything else I missed? The blue team didn't really get anything, because they couldn't really. We have this, Italy and Northern Italy split Libya in two. So this is kind of like the Northern Italian part of the colony. This bit would like to stay. As you can see, we have some of those good old colonial straight line borders, so that won't cause any problems. Their capital is up here in this northern city. And there's this new ugly country. I quite like them, to be honest. Grenada recently gained this, like, I don't know, 4 minutes ago. We have this new country over here. Everyone else got their old colonies back. So, this is Crete, Greece. Sakhalin, actually has Sakhalin again, Korea, and Sweden all gained that back. The Arabian Union got loads of land. The green team didn't lose any land at all. They are perfectly fine. People are just kind of like, dude, we are horrible people. We murdered 700,000 people. My god. As for India, oh no. So this is the remnants of India. India is still a very powerful nation. Look at all these major cities they have. They have a lot. This country is still very powerful. It's just they've lost a load of land. This mintish coloured nation. I think it's like the second country to be eliminated. They weren't the first to be eliminated anyway. They have returned to the Arabian Union. We're just kind of like reading old history stuff because that's what they like doing, I suppose. You know, they're kind of like a country to do with the past. They went, why don't we bring this country back? So they called them the same thing, and it's kind of a continuation of them, but also it's like 2,000 years ago that they existed. Probably less, more like 600. I don't know when these guys got destroyed. Also, the Arabian Union took Cyprus. We'll have to work out some stuff with Crete over that, because Crete wasn't exactly pleased to give it up. We have new pink country, new brown country, new greenish country, this new greenish country, new blue country. These guys gained a load of land in the northern areas. Didn't get any of this, no. Of course not. The brown country got lots of their old land, and possibly some more. We have Myanmar apparently not getting anything. I might need to fix that. at some point. You'll work that out after the treaty. The independence of the Northern Philippine Islands. So this is one of our first actual independent countries. We've not really had many across the history of the world. Like independent colonies, I mean. Not how many independent countries, after 45 episodes. Yeah, so this is one of our first independent colonies. We have Vietnam returning in the south. Korea has got Hainan back. Have Taiwan being split. As you can see, a few border disputes over this city. They have their capitals very far away. South China is in a mess. So as you can see, there is a border between the two. There are two South Chinese nations. However, there were lots of groups that wanted to lead the country. Just like, how they were united in the midst of a giant war. Well, once they all split, it was like, well, who's going to control both these sides? So they got into a massive civil war. So, in the northern side, we have this old bluish Indian country. They've got all this under their influence. Orange one, the Union one, which these two sides, different parts of the country, but their hope is that they take over each side and then manage to unite them both and reform the South Chinese country. You have a greyish one, the brown one, purple one, and the independent Korean one. So, remember the Korean colony that was down here? It's kind of those guys. Back again. Up here, nothing really changed. The colonies got this again. Korea took a load of land from China because China didn't nuke anyone. Baikal got some land. Korea got these two southern islands. Have a new reddish country. Japan lost a load of land for this pink and this yellow one. Oh yeah, Japan also gave independence to this ton of islands, which is not going to do very well at the moment. We need to work on tourism to get them to get some money. Speaking of other islands, we have independence for the Solomon Islands and the North Vanuatu Islands, so that's all of these ones. Except for this green one, don't worry about them. They are part of the Irish colony. And we have northeastern Australia getting their independence from China as well, and their capital being right over here. Over here. There we go. So, yeah. It's a pretty huge peace treaty. Doesn't sound like it took that long, but boy, it did. It took a really long amount of time. Probably mostly because I kept getting distracted, so and interrupted. So yeah, that was probably the reason. But it was a lot of stuff and a lot of drawing countries, so yeah. But also, it was a lot of fun. You may notice the blue team hasn't given independence to all of their colonies. That's because there's a load of injured people, destroyed buildings, mostly in Sicily and the Andaman Islands and stuff, in Sardinia. But a lot of injured people, their workforce is broken, a lot of their leaders of certain colonies have been killed or severely injured. They've moved or something, so they need to work out new leaders for lots of different things. And just make sure people have stable ways of making money. So it's going to be like a year, maybe 1948, or maybe even 1949, that all these colonies will get independence. As in the next episode, we're going to move towards decolonization. There's quite a few new independent countries. I'm super excited for it, and also some more stuff about atomic bombs, which is scary. Yeah, we're moving towards the Cold War. Can you guess which countries the Cold War is going to be between? I would be very interested if you can, because it's not really who you're going to expect, I don't think. We'll see. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, because I enjoyed making World War II. I bet these people didn't though. They really didn't have a nice time. But yeah, I will see you again next time. Thank you.